Hello YouTube, so I'm going to do a video today about how to sharpen a chainsaw. Obviously with the change of the weather, I'm going to start kind of preparing my wood for the winter, which means getting the old chainsaw ready again. I've only got a little one, just kind of carving up a little bit of small firewood, but definitely does the job. I've got a petrol one and an electric one. I don't really use the electric one too much, but I still quite like to use the petrol one. I think you can handle a bit more and you can kind of force it a bit more, but I do plan to do a video on an electric one with my inverter, but I'll save that for another time. So for now, this is a Steel 170 MS, I think it is, with only I think it's a 12 inch bar, that one. I tried putting a bigger one on and it didn't fit. I couldn't quite get the chain and the cogs to all fit, and ultimately this is designed to be a small nimble chainsaw, so you don't really need a bigger bar. I think it can take a 14 inch bar, but nonetheless we're here to talk about how we sharpen. So once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. If you look at the chain, all chains are essentially the same. They're made to fit your specific chainsaw, so you get different widths and thicknesses, but ultimately the cutting action is the same. And it's just two elements really. So you've got the cutting edge here, and then you get the cutting edge guide just here. So as you can see, this one's on this side of the chain, this one's the other side. So you have to sharpen both sides, and ultimately this gets dulled quite quickly, I find. So you have to sharpen this back, which obviously is the cutting edge, but the second element is that this guide has to be sharpened down so that it creates a slight overhang here. Now the reason you've got to do that is because if it's too high, this isn't going to catch the wood, so it's just not going to, no matter how sharp this is, it's just not going to cut the wood. If it's too low, it's going to stick in the wood and get stuck, and your chainsaw is going to get stuck all the time. So you want to get the perfect balance between this chain guide here and this cutting edge, which is essentially the two elements of the sharpening. So I've got a little manual here that came with a handheld sharpening kit. So generally speaking, this angle here is going to be sharpened at 30 degrees, and I'll show you that in a second. It can change slightly, but if you look at this map here, it's about 30 degrees. And then just here is number 3, is how much lower it has to be. So the kit that came with this chainsaw is a handheld kit. So you get here is this little file here, and it comes with this guide, which once you put, as you can see, we're going to look at this cutter here. This cutter here. So you can kind of follow the cut already, but it's got a nice little handy line on it there, which has to measure up with the chainsaw, and that should put you at 30 degrees. And then with the kit as well comes another little file, so you take off just the top edge of that chainsaw guide. But another little aftermarket tool I bought was this Steel all-in-one file. So as you can see there, it's a guide that's set up with your 30 degrees there. You have your cutter file here, and then obviously the cutting guide file. So the same cutter just there. You'll put your file in there, and as you can see at the same time, you're filing down that cutter, and this file here is taking down the cutting edge, and then you make sure the angle is correct, and we'll simply go across as you would. And then if you're going to do the other side on these cutters, it's going to be reversed like that. Measure it up, and I find this a lot quicker. I think as you get better, you find an angle that suits you. Some people want it super sharp, some people don't, but generally speaking it's 30 degrees. I'm going to get this to sharpen now and cut some wood, and then probably when I get back home, when it's a bit clearer, I'll take you through this equipment a bit better and give you the exact measurements of the angles and how far exactly you're supposed to cut down, and what this thing is, which I've actually forgotten, but it does do something. But I'll share that with you shortly. And here we have a sharp chainsaw. So So you can see these little chainsaws, they can cut quite big pieces of wood without changing the bar size. So that went through it like a hot knife through butter. So it's definitely the right angle, 30 degrees. I've got enough wood for now. And if you look at chippings, it's kind of the size that you want, that indicates that you've got the right cutting edge. It basically shows you the kind of the thickness that the wood is being shaved off. If it's too thin, it's not going to cut, and if it's too thick, it's just going to get stuck all the time. So it's about, this is about roughly what you're looking for. As you can see, I've got plenty more work for the chainsaw, but this is next year's store, so I have to dry for about a year. Look forward to chopping that up. Right, so here comes the fun bit. So I use, these are the tools I use to split wood. Nothing's failed yet, so obviously first choice is this axe, nice vintage axe that actually my dad got from my granddad years ago before I was born. So my granddad used it, gave it to my dad used it, I use it, I'll give it on to Samson. So it's a real thing to keep. If that fails, then a sledgehammer and this wedge here. Now this is not failed to split anything, even the biggest wood. There's a few times where I've got it right in the wood, right down so it's flush, and it's not split, and a few hits and it's just taking it apart. I think the only thing that would stop it if the wood's too wet, but pretty much these are brilliant. This wouldn't, there's nothing this wouldn't split. So, but for now, these little bits of wood will be good enough with the axe. See if I can do it one-handed. Right, so this piece has got about 3 knots in it, so I'm going to try the wedge in this one. So obviously you just hammer in the wedge at first, get it nice and tight, and then let it do its job. So it started to get a split. See if I can do it one-handed. So even with split in half, the axe still won't go through it. So I could probably nip the edges off, but it's those 3 knots really mean it's a sledgehammer job. And what I've noticed, we put this handle on a little while ago, but I never actually got around to putting a wedge in the top. So it's okay, but it's a little bit dangerous, that easily could fly off. So what you do, you can put a piece of wood in there or a nail, or if you buy some wedges. So I'll do that now, make it last a bit longer. And there we go. It's going nowhere. So this is a good example. It's only a small little log, but the axe wouldn't get through that. It's getting right to the limit, but there's no way that's not going to split it. But you can see how far it penetrates and how long the wood resists for. So if you can chop a lot of logs, you definitely need an axe, a sledgehammer and a wedge like this. You can get little kind of triangle wedges, but they get stuck. This is the perfect one. I wouldn't go with anything else. And there you can see why. So you get this, I guess it's a knot or a branch or just kind of an area of growth that grows at an angle through this section. So cutting down is never going to cut it. This actually went all the way through, stuck in the wood, and it's still together. So it does put up a fight. There we go, all ready for our first fire. This wood was all collected about a year and a bit ago. I've got some in the shed as well. So this is this year's, and what I showed you earlier is next year's, and just keep my eye out for the year after that. This is what I chopped last year, ready for this year, so it all needs preparing for the fire. So I think this year it should all be good. This is a great little trolley. It folds up, which is handy for us. We keep all of our wood at the allotment, so we take it down with this, it folds up, and it's a good amount for about 2 or 3 fires in there. We've got a lot spare. So better get back sharpish. Got my tomatoes, got my wood, got my chainsaw. What else do you need? And the good thing about this trolley, it folds up, so you can pretty much put it anywhere. So the last thing I said I was going to talk about is this little jig here. Now what it is that I remembered is a little jig that goes on top of the chain here over the cutter, and where you can see it's kind of indented. It's indented by 0.65mm, which means that raker there is going to be 0.65mm lower than that cutter, which gives you a nice kind of cutting depth, which gives you the shavings you saw earlier. Obviously this guide says recommendations of 0.45, 0.65, 0.80 mil, depending on what size chain you've got. But this one came with this, so 0.65 is correct, and it's pretty much flush there. So you can do it by eye, but obviously just putting a file across there will give you the perfect cutting depth, and that's what that's for. So that's a handy little tool to have as well. So that's that really. Thank you for watching, and hopefully post another video fairly soon.